So getting to 3,000 subscribers was by far the most difficult part. Getting to the point when I made my minimalist apartment and then things started to grow pretty organically, it was tough. I can't tell you how tough it was to push through those months of not seeing any results. But I just knew. I had been given this advice by every successful person before me that you just have to keep putting in the work. You got to be consistent. You got to experiment, try new things. So I did all of that and it paid off for me. The only shot is to try. And just to put everything you have into it and to really commit for a year, 2 years, 3 years, but really take the time to actually try. So a quick disclaimer, it took me about 10 years to hone my craft as a filmmaker. And I still continue to learn to this day. But it took a very long time to get to the point where I was ready to try to build an audience. So maybe right now is not the best time for you to build an audience or try to create a YouTube channel or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Maybe say if you are like I was and financially you were in a really tough situation, you have a lot of debt, maybe the smartest thing for you to do is to get really good at freelance filmmaking, photography, whatever, and build a business first, make money. You will learn so many lessons through that, from your personal life to how to manage clients, project management, the actual craft of a filmmaker that you can then eventually bring into, say, a YouTube channel. A lot of times we put the cart before the horse and we expect a large audience or following before we've actually done the hard work of being worth following. So we're trying to look cool instead of just make cool shit. And that's just my brief disclaimer. So I could be entirely wrong. It could be the best idea for you to just start building right now, start your YouTube channel right now. But if financially things are tight, I would suggest that you play it a little bit more conservative and choose the path that I did, which was to go into freelance and then transition into full-time creator of original content. Now, if you want to pursue a full-time career as a content creator, then there's two paths that you can take. You can focus on quality or quantity. Either you're gonna be the daily vlogger that's putting out videos every single day, or you're gonna be making videos once a week. Now, I imagine you know which camp I fall in. I would rather make one really high quality video that maybe takes a couple days to edit and then release it every Monday, versus other channels who are just uploading every single day. And to each their own. Some may prefer to go the kind of quick style, uploading all the time. I have found personally for me that the quality will win out in the long run. Those are the two choices you have, and just be very intentional about which one you pick. The message is so important. So what is it that you are talking about? I was lucky and I found a topic that not only I liked, not only that had an impact on my life, but it was something that other people resonated with as well. So minimalism is very trendy right now. It's something that's people are searching for and learning about. So naturally those videos tend to do well on YouTube. So if you are really into miniature horses and that's your thing, it could be a cool hobby, but I don't know if there's enough people out there that would be able to sustain you as a full-time creative in that space. So be thoughtful about that, be realistic, but in the end, you're gonna have to go with your gut. So I put a lot of time and energy into making my videos entertaining. I think this is something people overlook, the fact that we wanna be entertained, and it's not always educational. I mean, I usually try to have some kind of lesson or something that we can learn from the videos that I put out. But first and foremost, I just want to entertain people. My favorite videos are the ones that I do with Natalie, and we're just normally riffing. We're answering people's questions, but if you really pay attention, most of the time we're giving horrible advice or no advice at all. But it's the banter back and forth between us that I really enjoy. We're completely unqualified to give this kind of advice, but we have a lot of fun doing it. We really enjoy it. And I think that comes across. And I think people are entertained by those kinds of videos. So when I'm making something that's well thought out and scripted, and I try to just infuse it with jokes and with maybe little funny bits. Sometimes they come before when I'm writing the script, and sometimes they come in the edit when I realize, oh, if I add this music here, that actually completely changes the tone and makes it fun and quirky and weird. But I would just keep that in mind as you're making whatever it is you're making. How can I make this, how can I entertain people? How can I make it a little bit different, a little bit weird? You really need to focus on tightening up your storytelling. So if you're a filmmaker like me, you want to make sure that there's nothing that's unnecessary in the edit. It's something that's hard to define because some people might have a different opinion than me. They might say, well, that joke wasn't really necessary to the overall structure of the film. And I would say, actually, it was really important because it added some lightness and it entertained people. And so it really has to go based upon your own gut. But I think what a lot of people do is they don't edit down enough. They maybe have long, rambling scenes that just go on for way too long. They've said the same thing 5 times, and we're like, all right, we've had enough. You can move along to the next topic. So make sure you're really mindful about that. It just creates constant passes. You're editing this video and you're just passing through it over and over again to finally get down. You're whittling away with each time you go through it, and then you finally get the video that's done and you release it. And then 3 weeks later, you look back at it and you realize, I could have done way better. But that's part of the game, is that you just constantly get better. You're constantly working on it. And if you're not looking back at your old stuff and you're not seeing what you could have done better, then you're not growing and you're not learning. So the last 2 things that I'll leave you with are consistency and change. Make sure that you're relentless. Make sure that you keep making stuff every single week. And it's so important. It's more important in the beginning when nobody's watching than it is when people are watching, because you're never gonna break through. You're never gonna get past this point if you don't just keep going and keep making stuff. And worst case scenario, you learned a bunch of shit that you can then apply to something else. And the second point would be change. Change when things aren't working. Make sure that you're always paying attention to how things are going. And maybe the reason that nobody's watching is just because you haven't maybe found your audience yet, but maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you haven't figured out the best way to tell your story. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being a patron here. It really means the world to me, the fact that you guys care enough about what I'm making to contribute and help support me, really pay my salary. It's unbelievable to me that you guys would do that. So thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. And I hope you learned a thing or two about how to grow an audience. See you next time.